Hello and welcome to episode 118 of Tom's Hirschsprung's podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by this morning slash this evening by Tony Brattoli. Tony, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. But no, thank you so much for joining me with this. And again, people may be aware of the surname. We did have your brother James on a few weeks ago to talk
Yes, you did.
about his experience with Hirschsprungs, and we now have your experience as well. You are, of course, brothers, and you both have Hirschsprungs, which is extraordinary. But would you like to take us, kind of, I guess, back to the earliest point with Hirschsprungs in your life?
Yeah, so unlike my brother James, who was older or has his complications through many more years, so he has actual memories of this. I do not. So all of my information just comes from my mom and what I know of her recounting. So I really don't have any memory of this. But so I was born in 1989 and right at the tail end of it. So I am not an 80s baby at all, really. Just like literally for 4 days I was alive in the 80s. So actually 3 days. So in to give perspective on that, this is really the beginning of the 90s, right? So the way that the medical system was then was very much geared towards this misogynistic view, which I'm sure that exists still somewhere, or and actually it for sure does. But um, so I lay that foundation because when my mom first noticed that I was having some issues with the same thing like my brother was talking about, just wasn't going to the bathroom for a few days at a time. My stomach looked ridiculously enlarged because of all the compacted stool in there. She had a much harder time then convincing doctors that I had an issue. Unlike my brother, who, even though it was only 4.5 years after, they were more aware of the situation. So, for me, she said it was absolutely grueling. Like no doctor or medical professional would listen to her, and she really had to push and push and push to convince someone to look at me that something was actually wrong. So I believe the surgeon that listened is the same one who operated on my brother as well, because it was within 5 years ish. So makes sense, and he already knew. So that he got. I don't want to use the word lucky, but because he had
Yeah, I know what
much
you mean.
worse of a time. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he got lucky in that sense that she didn't have to push as hard. But yeah, for me, that's what I know. It was. I mean, I was truly on the brink of not surviving at all because she could not convince somebody to look at me. So
Wow. I mean, unfortunately, I think that still exists very much
yeah,
today. I mean, having now done 118 of these episodes, I have spoken to many mothers who have had children, in the last year or maybe matter of months, who then go to hospitals. And this is not just the American healthcare system, this is also UK healthcare system as well. And they go to doctor or whoever and they say, this isn't right, this shouldn't be happening, this doesn't look right, I don't know what it is, but I think there's an issue here, and they get kind of brushed off as overly anxious parents or whatever else is written in
yes,
the notes, and which is so it's just, well, rude, I guess, is the first part. um
yeah.
but I think, unfortunately, yeah, you're right, that does still happen today.
Hopefully not as much, but I mean, I know during that time it was really rough for my mom to really get the point across.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, most definitely. But it's hopefully through, obviously doing things like this, we can bring more awareness to it so that it doesn't then happen further in the future. But it's, again, I guess one of the things that we'll always have, and the fact that we have a rare condition
Right.
And like you said with James, it's probably, again, easier is probably not the right word, but it maybe
No,
a little
it's
bit easier in the fact that you have it, so at least the surgeon or doctors were aware, I guess.
yeah, because she got very knowledgeable about it because I had it. So she was expecting that it might happen again
Yeah.
with my brother. So she completely laid the foundation first because she had the information up front. Unlike for me, it was completely, a surprise. Like,
Yeah.
how would you
And
plan for that?
well, no, I don't think anyone does. But it's like James said, no sort of family history or anything. Obviously, apart from you, who was
Yeah,
born a few years before. But again, but again, I get told repeatedly by people that, oh, it's hereditary, or this is going to happen, and then this person's going to have it, and it doesn't follow a pattern. And that's what makes Hirschsprungs, I think, so difficult. Is it can, like for you and for me, come completely out the blue, no family history, no stomach issues or anything like that, and then bang, you have you
yeah,
have Hirschsprungs. But I know you said with your Hirschsprungs, you don't remember a great deal, like a lot of us, because we're babies, when a
right.
lot of these
Yeah,
things are happening.
it was all
Um,
before 1 year old, so my brain is. You clearly don't remember that far back. Some
but you
people
said,
can, I think, but
well, yeah, it's interesting. I think I don't know, I might be going too deep here, but subconscious, I think, does remember or certainly retains quite a lot that we don't actually remember. But you said you've had around sort of, is that about 4 to 6 surgeries, something like that?
something like that. It wasn't as extensive because I didn't have the complete version like my brother did. So I have about, I think he said it's I want to say it's 45% of my colon left. So they didn't have to take out everything. But I did have the full, resection and pull through with the stoma and the bag and everything. I don't remember it personally. I remember James going through it because I was, 4.5, 5 years old when he was born. So,
Yeah.
like, I remember the whole thing with him.
So when
Uh,
when he was going through that, did you kind of look at your scars and think, oh, actually, I went through that as well?
uh, yeah, like, again, I know of it because my mom made us all fully aware of what was happening. You know, I mean, it was pretty obvious. You have this, like, my scar is pretty long. It's from like, let's see, where does it start? It's kind of almost to my side and goes all the way to my belly button. So it's a good chunk. It's like 7 inches or something, 6 inches.
Like halfway
Pretty thick.
across, so sort of from the side
Yeah,
to halfway across.
just about.
Decent size. If you're
Yeah,
gonna have a scar, have a proper one.
and of course it's thick too, because I think they use the same site to do everything. So that I think that's typical.
Yeah,
They do the
I
initial surgery and reopen that same area over and over.
yeah, yeah. Although I think now, having again spoken to people who've had pull through surgeries or people who've had children with pull through surgeries, they're a lot smaller than you and I. Because I think we would have probably had a similar surgery because I was 92, so that would have been a few years after you. So I think we're left with massive scars, and everybody else
Yeah,
is left with sort of these nice little neat ones.
exactly. But it's part of you, you wear
It
it.
is, it is, it most definitely will be. But if we go back again to sort of childhood with you, and a lot of, I know what you kind of said before, a lot of your childhood was very much surrounded by diet and having quite a strict diet. Certainly when you were at home, anyway. When you were away from
Yes,
home, slightly different.
correct.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the same applied to my brother as well, which was way more, he was way more affected by that than I was, because I still have a good chunk of my colon left. But the strict diet thing was because of the knowledge she gained from the first time around. So my mom was really making sure that, at least to the point where we were past the initial healing course of the whole thing, to kind of gear the diet towards a system that is missing parts. So, you don't want to just full on have everything that a normal person eats, because your body doesn't process it the same. And skipping ahead to like now, I basically eat anything, and it's fine. Like, certain things will affect me at different times. Not like James's story, where if I go back to that, where he says, almost every day he has to change what he eats, because one thing works perfectly fine, the next day it destroys his body. So I don't have that issue, although I do go back and forth with spice, because sometimes there's just that one day, I don't know, but most of the time it's fine. So the diet thing back when we were kids was to keep our system, regulatory, to just kind of have a form or a format of, this is what we're putting in our bodies in the morning, lunch, and dinner, and this is what's working. Like, we are functioning, we can run outside and play, come back, go to the bathroom normally, quote unquote. And yes, all of that work would then be undone if we went to, let's say, a grandparent's house, because, they're grandparents. So they would always have, ours in particular, would always have there's a store called Pavilions out here. They're attached to Vaughn's, which is the main one. Pavilions had this ice cream back then that came in a rectangular box. I remember that vividly because it was not good ice cream, but it was ice cream. So, I didn't get to eat that. So if it was offered, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not that we couldn't have any ever. It was just highly regulated. Like soda, all of that stuff was a no-no. I mean, it has caffeine in it too, so there's that. As a kid, you really shouldn't have stuff like that anyway, but yeah, all that sugary stuff I know is not conducive to a good diet anyway. So why offer that when you have this plan that's working? But yes, it got thrown off all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing. Were you as much trial and error as James was, or were you a little bit, or was your diet a little bit easier to sort of manage?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think so, because again, I still had a good chunk in there left over, so I could still retain nutrients and process things semi-normal. However, bring up ice cream again, I found out why that was a problem more so than the sugar, was because it is a lactose product. And the surgeon apparently had told my mom that I have a chance of being lactose intolerant. But I was 100% like the entire time, since forever. And literally we didn't figure that out as a true fact until, I want to say, 2010.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So you were, in your 20s by then.
Yep. So I just kept having all of these emergency bathroom visits, and I was attributing it to the disease, but it was in fact a severe lactose intolerance.
Oh my word. So not only are you hit with Hirschsprungs, you're also hit with lactose intolerance as well.
Yes. And James is lucky with that. He does not have that. He can have dairy all day. It's not great for him either to have that in general. So yeah, I think he's switched to like soy milk recently, and it's been working better. But yeah, he can just have ice cream and whatever. It doesn't affect him that way.
Yeah, and then you kind of But then it would make sense that sort of attributing the lactose intolerance to, well, that's just my Hirschsprungs or whatever it might be, which makes complete sense, because
Yeah,
how would you know? Just wouldn't, would you?
exactly. Yeah,
How did you find out in the end?
I think my mom had an inkling of that being the case, and then over time, about whatever I ate would just send me straight to the bathroom. So she figured it out. She's like, you know what, I really think you're lactose intolerant. So I tested using lactase enzymes or just milk that has it in it already, like Fairlife, stuff like that, and yeah, no problem.
Wow. So, but again, parental instincts. Always trust parental instincts. I think that's one thing I've learned the last couple of years doing this.
Right.
It's
Especially
that
for these medical things.
oh yeah, yeah. Parents pick up on way more than we realise. Way more. So you're lactose intolerant. You have Hirschsprungs. I know we'll sort of bounce around as well, but you also have two other conditions as well. So
Yes.
I mean, when it came to handing out luck, you didn't exactly get the best luck of the draw. So you also on top of this, on top of being lactose intolerant, on top of having Hirschsprungs, you also have type 1 diabetes and also
Correct.
Hashimoto's,
Yep.
which I'm aware of this as well because two members of my family, one member of my family has type 1 Hirschsprung, one member of my family has Hashimoto. So this is something I'm also very aware of. But for people who are unaware of, let's start with Hashimoto's. That's probably the hardest one.
Sure. Yeah, so that actually came about because of diabetes. That is very common with people with diabetes. Um, Essentially, it's a thyroid disease where it destroys how it functions and makes it not produce enough of the hormone that you need to have the regulated metabolism. So it's essentially hypothyroidism. So you have an underactive thyroid, and that only came about because of a routine doctor's visit with blood tests, and my thyroid levels were not great. So I had an ultrasound, and again, those technicians can't diagnose anything. She said that. She's like, okay, I can't obviously diagnose this, but your thyroid looks like Swiss cheese.
which isn't a diagnosis, but it kind of is.
Yeah, that's not normal. It shouldn't look like Swiss cheese. So, yep, because of that, I've been taking Synthroid, or the generic levothyroxine, for quite a few years now.
Wow. And how does that affect your Hirschsprungs at all, or are they just completely separate from one another?
No, it's just annoying because you have to take a pill every day,
Mm.
and you can't eat for about an hour after you take it. Well, it's within 30 minutes to an hour after taking the thyroid, the hormones.
Yeah.
So, which, being a diabetic, and if you wake up low or something, and you have to have something to bring your sugar back up, there's a relationship there, because I think if you eat or drink something before it has time to activate, it just kind of doesn't work. So that pill was a wash.
Wow. So there's a lot of organisation then in your life.
Yes.
A lot of organisation.
Yes, there is.
Wow. So again, if you touch on what you just brought up there with diabetes, obviously there's type 1, type 2. Type 2 being the more sort of weight, I guess, controlled one. Type 1
Yes.
tends, again, to be just complete bad luck. From what I understand, from what my brother's had type 1 diabetes for the since he was 11, he's now 32. So yeah, last 20 years or so. So knowing what I know from him, again, just seems complete bad luck. But I guess that was the same for you too.
Yeah, and again, it manifested super late, like
Yeah.
literally the week of my 27th birthday.
Oh, how nice! Happy birthday for
Yeah,
Here's type 1 diabetes.
exactly. It was a weird experience for that one because yes, I have Hirschsprungs. I didn't have diabetes at the time. However, I treated my body as if it was younger than it was, I suppose. Well, I mean, I was still young. Under 30 is you're pretty resilient. I mean, even 30s is not that bad. But so that came about because one day I was at work. I was on site for a client. Got my normal lunch, which at that time I had walked to Del Taco. And I just got, a lot actually. It was just a heavy carb meal. But then protein too, but burritos, chicken quesadillas, that kind of stuff, and a regular soda. And I had all of that for lunch. And after I'd eaten that, it's weird to describe this feeling, but I'm sure at that point my blood sugar was probably in the 500s, which is why this happened, because I was looking at my computer at the desk, and it looked like behind me, kind of. The Star
Okay.
Wars. Like, you kind of get these little starry tunnel vision thingy going on. And then it felt like a hot flash at the same time. And I was like, why do I feel like this? This is I've never felt that before. Like, the closest I got was, like, going to a theme park and taking, a roller coaster and those toilet bowls, as they're called, where it goes to the side and whips around a few times. Like, I've done that, and you're about to pass out and see stars for a second. It's kind of that feeling, with the addition of being hot, and then your whole body gets kind of tight, like all your muscles tighten up, like it just released massive amount of lactic acid from, working out. If anyone knows, if you've worked out to failure before, like, and you can't move your arms anymore because you just did that one more bicep curl. It's that feeling, but your entire musculature. And then every 20 minutes, like clockwork, I had to pee. Just like exactly 20 minutes. And
Another
I had to call my
classic,
doctor. Yeah,
classic
exactly.
type 1 diabetes sign.
Yep. I called my doctor, and they told me to come in as soon as possible. And before I knew what was going on, they did a blood test to see what it was, and then they're like, have you ever had diabetes before, or know anyone in your family with diabetes? I'm like, oh, so it is diabetes. But at the time they weren't sure which one, because it didn't make sense. Again, I was 27, so why would I have type 1 diabetes at 27? It's very late. So they gave me metformin for a week, and it didn't do anything at all. So they're like, yeah, it's type 1.
So that's another condition to contend with. And again,
That's the more
again,
annoying one.
Yeah, but I don't know necessarily when type 1 is supposed to be diagnosed. I don't know what a sort of right age to have it is. Do you?
Usually it's congenital. Like, you are literally born with it. It's an autoimmune issue.
Yes.
So it's supposed to manifest in your toddler's age or younger. That's normal. Like, a lot
Yours
of
was
young,
27.
yeah.
Oh my
Just
word.
lived my almost entire life up to that point with normal.
Yeah. And then bang, hit with Hashimoto's, Hirschsprung's, and again, kind of same question with Hashimoto's in relation to Hirschsprung's. Type 1 diabetes and Hirschsprung's, in terms of their relation, when you were then diagnosed, did you then have to think a little bit more about certain diets, or did anything else change at that point in your relation to Hirschsprung's and lactose and Hashimoto's and everything else you had?
I know. Well, the Hashimoto's came later, but
Yeah.
the Hirschsprungs, no, that's always kind of in the back of my mind because again, my system functions how it functions, and with the lactose gone or controlled, I know how my body works with that or without it. The main thing that happened was I was, drinking normal sodas and like sweetened coffee and stuff. When I heard the news, my brain like had a switch. It was just like sweet coffee is terrible. Like I still don't like sweet coffee. I just have just straight coffee. If anything, a little half and half in there, nothing else. Um, which, by the way, I know half and half has lactose, but for some reason it doesn't do anything if I have it with coffee. It depends on the type of dairy that I eat. I don't know. It's weird. Butter,
Yeah.
same thing. Like, doesn't really do too much unless I have like a whole stick, which, But
So you're
anyway,
not gonna have.
right. Yeah, in terms of the relation there, it not really a factor. It's right now, and since diagnosis, I am in full caring about diabetes mode because you have to. I have to watch everything. I mean, it's like controlled and not controlled at the same time. Like I don't think this will pick it up, but no, it doesn't. But, so this is what I'm currently at 155, which to some would say, oh my gosh, that's high. My normal is usually above 180, so this is good right now. You can see the graph, right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
earlier today it was in the 300s.
Oh,
Like
my
I
word.
just
And for those listening who didn't see the graph, what's the number 155 representing?
so that is my current blood glucose. For a normal human, you should be roughly in the range of 70 to 100, just at any time. Like if you're really hungry, like when you get like you're a little shaky because you haven't eaten in a while, that you're probably closer to 70 as a human. But you have a pancreas and a liver that control that function. Mine doesn't do anything. My liver does sometimes. There's a phenomenon called the dawn phenomenon. I think that's what it's called, where your liver will put sugar into your bloodstream as a backup. So that usually happens when you dip low in your sleep, and your liver will just say, that's not good, so we'll put some sugar in your bloodstream. But unfortunately, when that happens, you usually wake up high because it didn't put the right amount or puts too much. And because there's no insulin in your system to counteract it, it's just goes up. So, yeah, 155 is a little above where I should be, but that's still technically in the green.
It's good for you then, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Not
good
for
for
anybody else.
right.
But I think one thing that it's really, really important to point out. Again, we talked about a litany of conditions, and one of the things I really like doing on this podcast is highlighting people who have the condition, but still are able to live, quote unquote, normal lives, have a normal job, you know, achieve really great things. And I mean, you do. I mean, you work in IT, is that right?
Yes, I'm
And
an IT manager for a multi-service provider company.
so you still very much live a, normal kind of office type job. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But yeah, but that even with all of the conditions and all of the complications, I think one of the things that kind of strikes me a lot with people I talk to, especially when they have children with Hirschsprungs, and they're very, very unsure of the future. Will they be able to, leave the house? Will they be able to
Right.
hold down a normal job? Will they be able to, play sports? Will they be able to play musical instruments? Whatever it might be. I mean, you've done a lot of those things. I mean, you were,
I
or
have.
you are very musical as well. I think that's
Yes,
one
yes, I
thing
am.
we'll touch on. When did that sort of love of music start?
Uh, Again, from what I am told, it kind of happened naturally. Uh, I think my mom said I was like 2 or 3. We'll go back to the grandparents again because they had a piano. I wasn't tall enough to even see the keys on a piano, but she said I would just reach my hands up and um, just kind of listen for notes that like made sense to me. Like I would start putting them together to like say, oh, that's those 2 notes are nice, and I'm just kind of repeat that process throughout the keyboard apparently. And then I started having lessons when I was 4 on piano, and I've at least stuck with that instrument ever since. But I always say piano is a great gateway instrument, just because of, I mean, you have 88 keys to look at and play. That's a lot of notes. You also are doing technically 3 things at the same time. You're doing the melody or whatever else in the right hand. You have the left hand supporting that. Then you have your feet doing the pedals. So all of that eventually becomes second nature. But I also teach piano, and I like that as a gateway instrument for anything. So if anyone wants to learn, let's say, a saxophone, if you have a piano background, you can kind of like visualize the keyboard in your head while you're playing another instrument. That's just a single line instrument. One key plays one note, and it's quote unquote easier. It's not, but yeah, I always liked that fact, and I don't know. I just kind of stuck with it since then. That's an outlet for me. I don't play as much as I'd like to anymore, but it's not gone. Like if I sit down at the piano right now, I could still play everything. Maybe not as well as I did 10 years ago, but it's still in there.
Like driving a car or riding a
Yeah.
bike?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So in terms of, so you play piano, and then throughout life, have you played different instruments as well?
Oh yeah. Middle school was kind of the turning point for me on that one. So, well, actually, before that would be 5th grade. My elementary school had like a band slash orchestra thing that one of the more awesome teachers there had decided to take upon himself and start. So he was one of the teachers in the GATE program. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a gifted student thing. Again, this is not tooting any horns or anything for myself, but I was in that in elementary school, and the main thing that he led was like this kind of logical puzzle type class where I remember these vividly too. They're called stories with holes. So it would be just the story that was missing some key facts in it, and at the end you have to ask questions that will lead to filling in those gaps. And they have to be logical. It's to help figure out the story. But anyway, he started a band program, and my mom's a flute player, and she has been forever. And I wanted to play something in there because they didn't have like piano. You had to play a wind instrument. So my mom first taught me the flute a little bit. So that was my foray into single line wind instruments. And then in middle school is really where it took off. Same kind of thing. First year ever at that school having a band program in 7th grade. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to join that. So went in on flute at first, and then just hung out there all the time because we had a carpool situation. So we had to wait a lot for our parents to come pick us up. So it was easy to just stay in the band class. And I would just open a book, be like, I'm going to learn trumpet today. So just go through the whole book and figure out the fingerings and rinse and repeat. like clarinet, bass clarinet, trombone, all this stuff. Was just trying it out. And then my love of tuba was born from there, and I got into marching band in high school on tuba and marched that for 4 years. I also was principal tuba at Cal State Northridge my freshman year of college. So yeah, it's just
fantastic.
kind of
Again,
exploded.
I've never played a musical instrument in my life. I wouldn't have a clue how to. But I always marvel at the fact that people can play, especially play more than one. It's yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And just while we've got a bit more time just to finish, there's
Sure.
a story. I know that you've told me a little bit about this, about 10th grade.
Yes.
And playing a tuba, I believe, at the time.
Yes.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that is the actual time that I remember what being in a hospital is, and well, being a patient in a hospital. So, like I mentioned, I was playing tuba in the high school marching band. So every morning we did this. We got there super early, like 5:45 in the morning every day. Probably annoyed all the neighbors in the neighborhood because we would play outside. But we were 250 people, so it's not quiet.
Wow.
Excuse me. So, just like normal, I got my tuba out, went to the line. We just kind of form a semicircle or a circle around the band director and do our little warm-ups and stuff. I go to put up my tuba on my shoulder, and I felt like my stomach just ripped open. And I just could not fathom what the heck I was feeling. So I had to just tell the directors, like, I gotta leave the line really quick. I thought maybe I had something bad to eat, so I went to the bathroom. I mean, like, when I say nothing came out, it was like nothing. Like, I felt something kind of move out, but it was more like a pellet, like literally nothing. So then I tried to come back, and I knew something was definitely wrong. So I went to the nurse, and I was just absolutely writhing in pain at the nurse's office until my mom finally got out of work to come get me. I was at home for 1 day total in that state. And then it got to the point where I tried to eat like a slice of toast, and it didn't go anywhere. So it just ended up coming back out and just, not to get too gross, but it eventually just bile was coming out. There was nothing in my stomach. So made it to the emergency room, and they did a contrast CT, which is awful. If anyone has done that before, the stuff you have to drink is terrible. They also, in my case, had to pump my stomach or something similar. They put an NG tube in, and that process is terrible as well, where you have to drink water while they're shoving the tube from your nose down to your stomach. And yeah, I was in the hospital for a week with a bowel obstruction. So I had to have surgery to fix that. And luckily, the surgeon said that he literally opened me up, like poked it a little bit, and it just straightened out on its own. So he didn't have to go in there and do anything. But the cause was I was dehydrated from the weekend that I spent at a friend's house. And because of that, my intestine got stuck on some scar tissue from my previous surgeries. And that's why when he touched it, it just kind of went whoop, just back to...
Amazing story.
Stuck.
Amazing. I mean, I think that is such an important point, though, that because I didn't realize this until much later on in life, that dehydration is so dangerous for people with Hirschsprungs.
Yes.
Especially, I guess, as well if you have stomas or a stoma. Guess you then need to take on a lot more fluids. And I didn't
Absolutely.
realize just how dangerous dehydration could be, but I guess you know firsthand how dangerous dehydration can be.
Diabetes does that too. So I had another incident later where it was a few months after diagnosis. My then girlfriend, my wife now, had to take me to the hospital in the middle of the night because I was just shivering and could not function, and it happened to just be dehydration again.
Yeah, I think that's again, it's another thing with diabetes, isn't it? Making sure you stay hydrated, and especially
really
with
bad at that.
Hirschsprungs as well. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's so important, but it's something that's so easily forgotten, I guess, especially if you've got work going on and lots of other things. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone for it when I'm working and doing all sorts, and I'll have a bottle next to me, but I won't look at it for 2 hours and won't touch it for 2 hours or 3 hours, and I think actually I'm quite thirsty,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I think that's something that's really really important with Hirschsprungs that I just don't think we think of enough.
No, and again, in my brother's case, it's very serious because he has complete. So there's nothing in there to retain the water,
No.
really. So he
No.
has to have just a ton. I mean, he has more than just water. He's got Gatorades and whatever else that just gives a lot of salt.
Yes, most definitely. But no, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to
Yeah.
you. And just
That was great.
very
Thank you.
quickly before we wrap up, where can people find you on social media?
Right. I do have a website. It's tonybertolimusic.com. I forgot about that.
Oh
It has
yeah,
some
go
of
for
my
it. Yes.
some of my work on there, which does lead to my social media pages as well. But I am on mainly Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is Tony Bertoli Composer, and TikTok is just Tony Bertoli.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Main
They can
platforms.
keep up with all of your musical exploits.
Yeah, I need to post more. This will hopefully help me remember. Now that I've been asked where everything is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much, and I wish you all the very best with your various ailments
Yeah.
and obviously music and IT in the future. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.